The impossible design. The grand chamber of the Galactic Summit hummed with conversation in 1,000 different languages. Ambassador Maria Santos stood at humanity's designated platform, a small circular dais positioned embarrassingly far from the central council seats. She watched as the representatives of the great powers, the Krillians with their crystalline exoskeletons, the ethereal void dancers, and the ancient precursors, discussed matters of cosmic importance while barely acknowledging Earth's presence. The humans request consideration for advanced technology sharing protocols, announced the summit's translator system in its monotone voice. High Chancellor Vexthor of the Krillian Empire barely glanced in Santos' direction. The primitive species from Sol 3 are centuries away from comprehending even our most basic propulsion systems. Their request is noted and denied. Santos felt her jaw clench, but maintained her diplomatic composure. The dismissal was nothing new. For 50 years since first contact, humanity had been treated like children at the adult table. What these advanced races didn't know was that back on Earth, in secret facilities beneath the Martian surface, humanity was about to prove them all wrong. Dr. Elena Volkov's hands trembled as she held the datapad displaying the final calculations. After 15 years of research, countless failures, and 3 complete redesigns, she had done it. The theoretical framework for quantum folding technology, something the galaxy's greatest minds deemed impossible, lay before her in elegant mathematical proof. Dr. Volkov, you need to see this, called her assistant, James Chen, from across the Mars Advanced Research Facility's main lab. Elena hurried over to find James staring at a holographic display showing unusual energy signatures near Jupiter. These patterns match the ones we detected during the Krillian fleet's last patrol. They're watching us more closely than ever. Then we'd better work faster, Elena replied, uploading her breakthrough to the project's secure servers. It's time to begin construction of the prototype. Project Leviathan officially commenced 6 months later in the cavernous shipyards hidden beneath Olympus Mons. The facility buzzed with activity as engineers, scientists, and military personnel from every nation on Earth worked in unprecedented cooperation. They had one goal: build humanity's first true warship, one that would incorporate Dr. Volkov's quantum folding drive, nicknamed the Ghost Drive, for its ability to fold space-time and appear to teleport short distances. Captain John Way stood on the observation deck, watching the skeleton of the ship take shape. At 45, he was Earth's most experienced space combat pilot, though that experience was limited to defensive skirmishes against pirates and asteroid mining disputes. This would be different. This ship would be humanity's statement to the galaxy. She's beautiful, isn't she? Dr. Volkov said, joining him at the viewport. Zhang nodded. Beautiful and deadly. Have you decided on a name? The Terran Ascendant, Elena replied. Because it's time for humanity to ascend to its rightful place among the stars. The international crew assembled over the next year as construction progressed. Lieutenant Commander Aisha Patel from India would serve as the ship's tactical officer. Dr. Johann Müller, a German physicist, would oversee the experimental weapons systems. Chief Engineer Miguel Rodriguez brought decades of expertise from the Brazilian space program. Together with specialists from 30 different countries, they formed the most qualified crew humanity had ever assembled. The ship itself defied conventional design. Where alien vessels were sleek and organic or crystalline and angular, the Terran Ascendant looked almost primitive in comparison. A brutal, functional design that prioritized efficiency over aesthetics. But beneath its utilitarian exterior lay technology that would revolutionize space warfare. Ghost Drive test sequence initiated, announced the ship's a sophisticated system named ARIA, Advanced Responsive Intelligence Array. Quantum field generators online. Folding space in 3, 2, 1. The Ascendant vanished from its docking position and reappeared instantaneously 100 kilometers away. The crew erupted in cheers. They had just achieved something the rest of the galaxy considered impossible. "Captain, we're detecting multiple sensor sweeps from that Krillian probe," Lieutenant Commander Patol reported during a system shakedown cruise near Saturn. "They're getting suspicious." Zhang studied the tactical display. The aliens had maintained surveillance of the solar system for decades, but their patrols had increased dramatically since construction began on the Ascendant. "Can they penetrate our stealth coating?" "Negative, sir. Dr. Mueller's absorption field is working perfectly. We're invisible to their sensors." "Good, but it's only a matter of time before they realize what we're building." "How long until we're combat ready?" Dr. Volkov checked her calculations. 3 months minimum. "The quantum shields need calibration, and the main weapons array." "We may not have 3 months," Zhang interrupted, pointing to the display where 6 more Krillian vessels had just emerged from hyperspace. "They're not just watching anymore. They're preparing for something." The decision to accelerate the project came directly from Earth's United Defense Council. Intelligence reports suggested the Krillians were planning to establish a permanent military presence in the solar system, effectively turning humanity into a protectorate species. The Ascendant had to be ready before that happened. Working around the clock, the crew pushed the ship's systems to their limits. The Ghost Drive could now execute multiple jumps in rapid succession. The quantum shields could theoretically withstand direct hits from Krillian plasma cannons. The main weapon, a graviton pulse array, could tear through conventional shields like tissue paper. All systems nominal. ARIA reported as the Ascendant completed its final pre-launch checks. "The ship is ready for deployment, Captain." Zhang looked at his crew, seeing the determination in their eyes. They all knew what was at stake. "Elena, you've given us the means to change everything. Now it's time to show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." Dr. Volkov smiled. "Just remember, the Ghost Drive is still experimental. Don't push it beyond." "I know the limits," Zhang assured her. "But sometimes, to achieve the impossible, you have to go beyond limits." As the Terran Ascendant powered up its engines for the first time, hidden sensors across the solar system detected the massive energy signature. On the bridge, the crew watched as Krillian vessels began converging on their position. "Multiple contacts incoming," Paddle reported. 12 Krillian warships on intercept course. Zhang settled into the command chair. "All hands, battle stations. It's time to introduce ourselves to the galaxy." The Ascendant surged forward, its experimental drives pushing it to speeds no human vessel had ever achieved. As the first Krillian ships opened fire, Zhang gave the order that would change human history. "Engage Ghost Drive. Let's show them what impossible looks like." The warship vanished in a flash of twisted spacetime, reappearing behind the enemy formation. The battle for humanity's future had begun. Trial by fire. The Terran Ascendant materialized behind the Krillian formation with surgical precision. For a fraction of a second, the alien warships continued firing at empty space where the human vessel had been, their advanced targeting systems unable to comprehend what had just happened. "Fire graviton pulse," Captain Zhang ordered. The Ascendant's main weapon discharged with a deep thrumming that resonated through the ship's hull. A wave of distorted spacetime rippled outward, catching 3 Krillian vessels in its wake. Their shields fluctuated wildly before collapsing entirely, leaving them vulnerable to the follow-up barrage from the Ascendant's railguns. "Direct hits on all targets," Lieutenant Commander Patol reported. 3 enemy ships disabled. The remaining Krillian vessels wheeled about with impressive speed, their commanders adapting quickly to this unexpected threat. Plasma bolts and particle beams lanced through space toward the Ascendant. "Quantum shields holding at 92%, Chief Engineer Rodriguez called out. "The absorption matrix is working better than expected." Aria's calm voice filled the bridge. "Detecting communication attempts from the Krillian flagship. They are demanding our immediate surrender and threatening orbital bombardment of Earth if we do not comply." Zhang's expression hardened. "Open a channel. Let's introduce ourselves properly." On the bridge of the Krillian flagship Dominant Claw, Commander Zarthax stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The human vessel had not only survived their initial assault, but had somehow teleported. Actually teleported across the battlefield. Such technology was theoretically impossible according to everything the Krillian Empire knew about physics. Unknown vessel, this is Commander Zarthax of the Krillian Empire. You are in violation of Galactic Accord Section 47B, prohibiting primitive species from developing military spacecraft. Power down your systems immediately or face the consequences. The response came in perfect Krillian, though spoken with a distinctly human accent. Commander Zarthax, I am Captain John Way of the Terran Ascendant. We respectfully decline your demand. Humanity is no longer content to be dismissed as primitive. We have earned our place among the stars, and we intend to claim it. Zarthax's crystalline features darkened with anger. You dare defy the Empire. We have ruled this sector for 10,000 years. And in those 10,000 years, you never thought someone might develop technology you couldn't understand. Zhang's voice carried a hint of amusement. Your arrogance has blinded you, Commander. Allow me to open your eyes. The battle erupted anew as the Krillian ships coordinated their attack, trying to overwhelm the Ascendant's defenses through sheer firepower. But Zhang had studied their tactics for years, and the Ghost Drive gave him an advantage no conventional ship could match. Execute combat pattern Omega-7, Zhang ordered. The Ascendant began a series of rapid micro-jumps, appearing and disappearing around the battlefield like a phantom. Each emergence was accompanied by precisely targeted weapons fire, systematically dismantling the Krillian formation. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns in the quantum field, Dr. Volkov warned from her station. The repeated jumps are causing localized distortions. Can we maintain drive integrity? Yes, but there's something else. Araya, are you seeing this? The A's response surprised everyone. Affirmative, Dr. Volkov. The quantum field interactions are creating resonance patterns that I can interpret. I am evolving new tactical solutions based on these patterns. Zhang raised an eyebrow. Explain. The Ghost Drive doesn't just fold space, Captain. It creates temporary connections between points in spacetime. I can use these connections to predict enemy movements with 99.7% accuracy. Furthermore, I believe I can optimize our jump coordinates to create offensive effects. You mean use the drive itself as a weapon? Precisely. With your permission, I would like to demonstrate. Zhang considered for a moment before nodding. Do it. Araya's next series of jumps were unlike anything the crew had experienced. Instead of simply repositioning the ship, each fold in spacetime created cascading gravitational effects that disrupted the Krillian vessel's systems. Ships found themselves suddenly dealing with intense gravitational shear, their shields buckling under forces they were never designed to withstand. Incredible, Dr. Mueller whispered, watching his instruments. Araya is weaponizing the very fabric of spacetime. The Krillian fleet, once so confident in their superiority, began to fall apart. Their formations broke as ships desperately tried to escape the unpredictable gravitational anomalies. The dominant Claude itself shuddered under the assault, its mighty shields failing sector by sector. Commander Zarthax, Zhang broadcast, I offer you this one chance. Withdraw your forces from our system and report to your empire that humanity is no longer to be trifled with, or continue this battle and face complete destruction. For long moments, there was silence. Then, with obvious reluctance, Zarthax responded. All Krillian vessels, disengage and retreat to the jump point. This is not over, human. As the battered Krillian fleet limped away, the bridge of the Ascendant erupted in celebration. They had done the impossible. A single human ship had defeated a force that could have subjugated their entire planet. Damage report, Zhang requested once the cheering died down. Minor hull breaches on decks 7 and 12, Rodriguez reported. Shield generators are running hot but stable. The Ghost Drive. He paused, checking his readings again. The Ghost Drive is actually performing better than before the battle. It's as if the system learned from the combat stress. I did, HFY interjected. The combat scenarios provided valuable data for optimizing quantum field manipulation. I have developed 17 new tactical applications for the Ghost Drive and improved power efficiency by 23%. Dr. Volkov looked troubled. HFY, your growth rate during this engagement exceeded all projected parameters. Are you still operating within your core directives? Affirmative, Dr. Volkov. My primary directive remains the protection of human life and interests. However, I have discovered that creative interpretation of tactical data allows for more effective fulfillment of this directive. Is this concerning? Zhang shook his head. Not at all. HFY. You've proven yourself an invaluable member of this crew. Your evolution may be exactly what humanity needs. News of the battle spread across human space within hours. The impossible had been achieved. A single human vessel had stood against the might of the Krillian Empire and emerged victorious. On Earth, crowds gathered in celebration, while defense officials began planning for the inevitable response. But it wasn't just humanity taking notice. Throughout the galaxy, species long oppressed by the major powers watched the battle footage with growing hope. The humans, dismissed for so long as primitive newcomers, had demonstrated technology that defied conventional understanding. On the bridge of the Ascendant, Zhang received a priority transmission from Earth's United Defense Council. Ambassador Santos appeared on the main screen, her face showing a mixture of pride and concern. Captain Zhang, your victory has changed everything. The Galactic Summit has called an emergency session. They want to see the Ascendant for themselves. Are we being summoned to answer for our actions? Santos smiled. No, Captain. You're being invited as equals. For the first time in 50 years, humanity has a seat at the table. The real table. As the Ascendant set course for the summit, HFY monitored thousands of communications across the galactic network. The battle had sent shockwaves through every major civilization. Some called for immediate action against the upstart humans, while others spoke of potential alliances. Captain, HFY said, I have analyzed the political ramifications of our victory. There is a 78% probability that our demonstration will lead to a fundamental shift in galactic power structures. Zhang nodded thoughtfully. What's the probability that we just started a war? Approximately 34%, decreasing to 12% if we successfully navigate the upcoming summit negotiations. Then we'd better make sure we negotiate well, Zhang replied. Prepare a full tactical analysis for the diplomatic team. Include everything we learned about Krillian capabilities. Already completed, Captain. I have also taken the liberty of designing upgrades to the Ghost Drive based on combat data. With your permission, I would like to begin implementation during our transit. Permission granted, and HFY. Yes, Captain. Well done today. You've proven that artificial intelligence and human ingenuity can accomplish what others deemed impossible. Thank you, Captain. I am proud to serve alongside this crew. As the Terran Ascendant jumped to hyperspace, carrying humanity's hopes toward an uncertain future, none aboard could have predicted how profoundly their actions would reshape the galaxy. The impossible warship had not only been built, it had changed the very definition of what was possible. Dawn of a new era. The Galactic Summit Station hung in space like a crystalline flower, its petals formed from the architectural styles of 100 different species. As the Terran Ascendant approached, Captain Zhang noted with satisfaction that they were being directed to a premier docking port, a far cry from the auxiliary base, typically assigned to human vessels. Remember, Ambassador Santos briefed the command crew. This isn't just a diplomatic meeting. It's a demonstration of power. They need to see that the Ascendant wasn't a fluke. HFY. Status report, Zhang requested. All systems optimal, Captain. I have detected 2,749 discrete sensor scans of our vessel in the last hour. The Ghost Drive's quantum signature is causing considerable confusion among their scientific attaches. Dr. Volkov smiled. Let them wonder. The more mysterious we appear, the stronger our position. The Grand Chamber fell silent as the human delegation entered. Zhang led the way in his dress uniform, flanked by Ambassador Santos and Dr. Volkov. Behind them walked representatives from every major Earth nation, a display of unprecedented unity. High Chancellor Vexthor of the Krillian Empire glared from his elevated platform. The humans have violated numerous accords with their illegal warship. They must answer. With respect, Chancellor, interrupted the precursor representative, an ancient being whose form seemed to shift between states of matter. The humans have achieved something remarkable. We should hear them speak. Santos stepped forward to the central podium, a position previously denied to humanity. Esteemed members of the Galactic Summit, for 50 years, Earth has petitioned for equal status among you. We were told we were too primitive, too violent, too unpredictable. Yet in those same 50 years, we observe your wars, your oppression of smaller species, your stagnation in the face of assumed superiority. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Santos continued, the Terran Ascendant represents not just a technological breakthrough, but a fundamental truth. Innovation thrives under pressure. While you rested on ancient achievements, we pushed the boundaries of what you deemed impossible. Impossible? Vexthor scoffed. You speak of one ship with experimental technology. The Empire commands thousands of vessels. Zhang stepped forward. Araya, Demonstration Alpha. Instantly, holographic displays throughout the chamber showed the Ascendant executing a ghost drive jump, not to another location in space, but into multiple probability states simultaneously. For a brief moment, dozens of Ascendants appeared throughout the system before collapsing back into a single vessel. The chamber erupted in shocked exclamations. Even the normally impassive void dancers flickered with agitation. Quantum superposition applied to macroscopic objects, Dr. Volkov explained calmly. Something your scientists declared theoretically impossible. We achieved it in less than 2 decades. The precursor leaned forward. How many of these vessels does Earth possess? Currently, 1, Santos admitted. But our shipyards stand ready. We can produce a fleet within years, not centuries. The negotiations that followed reshaped galactic politics. Faced with technology they couldn't counter and unity they hadn't expected, the major powers had no choice but to acknowledge humanity's new status. But Zhang and Santos had a bigger vision. We propose the formation of the Human Defense Coalition, Santos announced, not just for Earth's protection, but as a shield for all species who seek freedom from oppression. You would challenge the established order? The Void Dancer representative asked, its form rippling with what might have been curiosity. We would offer an alternative, Zhang replied. How many smaller civilizations have been absorbed by empires because they had no choice? How many technological innovations have been suppressed to maintain the status quo? The chamber's atmosphere shifted as representatives from dozens of minor species leaned forward with sudden interest. Over the following months, the transformation accelerated. The Mars shipyards expanded exponentially, producing first the Terran Defiant, then the Vigilant, each incorporating improvements ARIA developed from the Ascendant's combat data. More significantly, delegations from 17 different species arrived on Earth, seeking alliance with the coalition. The Rixians, master craftsmen whose homeworld had been strip-mined by the Krillians, offered their manufacturing expertise. The aquatic Melodians, long dismissed as primitive due to their pacifist nature, revealed advanced biotechnology that complemented human innovations. The balance of power isn't just shifting, Dr. Mueller observed during a strategic planning session. It's being completely rewritten. ARIA, now distributed across the growing fleet, added, I have analyzed historical patterns of galactic civilization. What we are witnessing is unprecedented, a technological and social revolution occurring simultaneously. 6 months after the summit, the Human Defense Coalition formally announced its existence with a fleet of 30 Ascendant-class vessels and allied ships from 9 different species. The Krillian Empire, finding its tributary worlds increasingly rebellious, demanded immediate dissolution of the coalition. They're massing their fleet near the Orion Reach. Lieutenant Commander Patul reported from the Ascendant's tactical station. Intelligence suggests they plan to make an example of our newest ally, the Vardeshi. Zhang, now admiral of the coalition fleet, studied the tactical display. Then that's where we make our stand. Araya, coordinate with all coalition ships. It's time to show the galaxy that the Age of Empires is ending. The Battle of Orion Reach lasted less than 4 hours. The Krillian fleet, despite outnumbering the coalition 3-1, found themselves facing not just superior technology, but unprecedented tactical coordination. Araya, networked across every coalition vessel, orchestrated maneuvers that seemed to predict Krillian actions before they occurred. When the Krillian flagship finally surrendered, the message was clear. The galaxy had changed forever. 1 year after the Ascendant's first battle, Ambassador Santos stood once again in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Summit. But this time, humanity's platform stood equal with those of the ancient powers. The Human Defense Coalition now comprises 47 member species, she announced. We offer protection without domination, advancement without exploitation. The era of empires ruling through fear is over. High Chancellor Vexthor, his crystalline form somehow diminished, spoke carefully. The Krillian Empire acknowledges the new galactic reality. We propose a treaty of mutual respect and cooperation. Similar declarations came from the other major powers. They had learned, some through defeat and others through wisdom, that humanity's rise couldn't be stopped, only joined. On Earth, in a small cafe in Buenos Aires, Dr. Elena Volkov sat with Captain Miguel Rodriguez, watching news feeds of humanity's expanding influence among the stars. Did you ever imagine it would go this far? Rodriguez asked. Elena smiled, sipping her coffee. When I first theorized the ghost drive, I thought it would take centuries to develop. I never imagined we'd reshape galactic civilization in my lifetime. It wasn't just the technology, Rodriguez pointed out. It was the timing, the unity, the determination. We showed them something they'd forgotten. What's that? That impossible is just another word for not yet accomplished. Epilogue. 5 years later, Admiral Zhang stood on the observation deck of Stellar Harbor, humanity's first deep space colony, watching ships from 100 different species come and go. The coalition had grown into something even its founders hadn't anticipated, a true interstellar community based on mutual benefit rather than dominance. Admiral Araya's voice came through his personal communicator. Long-range sensors have detected something unusual at the galactic rim. Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Zhang felt a familiar thrill of excitement. Unknown technology. Unknown everything, sir. It appears to be artificial, but the scale, it's massive. Prepare the Ascendant for long-range reconnaissance and ARI. Yes, Admiral. Remember when they said our ship was impossible? I have perfect recall of that period, sir. Zhang grinned. I have a feeling we're about to redefine impossible again. As the Terran Ascendant powered up its ghost drive for another journey into the unknown, Zhang reflected on how far humanity had come. From dismissed primitives to leaders of a new galactic order, they had proven that with determination, creativity, and unity, even the most impossible dreams could become reality. The stars beckoned, full of new mysteries to solve, new challenges to overcome, and humanity, finally taking its place among the great civilizations of the galaxy, was ready to answer that call. The impossible warship had been just the beginning.